Hey everyone, it's Frederick Kramer here, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to never burn out while building a seven-figure agency or a seven-figure other high-ticket coaching business done for your marketing business in case you don't want to be called an agency owner. And in case you don't know me yet, my name is Frederick Kramer and I'm on a mission to revolutionize productivity by helping agency owners double, triple, or quadruple the speed at which they get rich. I have multiple people that I've been working with that went to seven figures. Most of them actually burnt out, so it's actually quite a rare thing that people don't do that on their path to getting there. And I've tried multiple, sort of methods. Like I've tried working 12 hours a day. I've tried other things. I've tried like working probably like 4 hours a day or something, and sort of tracked like how much did I actually perform, how much did I actually get done. Had some surprising results, so I want to show you sort of my framework that I have for actually staying at your optimal capacity for working. So the sort of framework how to get as much done per week each time long term as possible without actually burning out and staying at your sort of like baseline where you can be at. Okay, so the first thing we need to understand here is that burnout is not like a yes or no state, right? You don't have like I'm burnt out, I'm not burnt out. It's sort of like how much are you? And we don't want to have much of a tolerance actually for how much we are burnt out, because burnout is just like the law of diminishing returns applied to your biology and working, right? Law of diminishing returns, if you have ever seen like the sort of like curve of like the like function like square root, right? If you no, you look from here, right? So at the beginning it's like really effective, and then it gets sort of like worse and worse. And this is like law of diminishing returns, right? So this is like how many inputs you have, and this is how much actually is happening. Okay, so first input, this much is happening, then that, and that, and that, and that, and then it sort of like flattens out, if that makes sense. The curve flattens out. And the same thing applies when you're working, right? When you like push your biology too far, then each and every hour that you still put in like work is not going to get you much further, right? And if you push this too far, then actually it doesn't get you much further, but it also takes away energy that you could have had somewhere else where it would have got you further, if that makes sense, right? So working 12 hours a day can in a weird way be like way less productive than working 7 hours a day, for example. And we need to find the exact like your individual baseline, because for each and every person it's different, and like the baseline of how much you can work also increases if you've been like in business with like focused hard work for a longer time. And like if we know your exact baseline, it's going to be way easier to actually get to your maximum capacity, where you have the sort of like sweet spot between I'm working a lot but nothing is actually happening, and I'm getting really much done per hour when I'm working, but I'm just working 1 hour a day or something, right? So we need to get in between that. So now where we know that, the next thing is like people, like some people are more biased towards burnout is very important. Other people like you probably are more biased towards burnout is not important at all, and I just don't care. So it's like sort of like the bitch mindset versus the discipline mindset. And what we need to do is we need to find objective factors, so things that we cannot sort of like bullshit ourselves to actually be true, but things that are objectively true, to determine whether we are getting like too much towards burnout or not. And the sort of symptoms where I would personally say that you're too close to burnout and that like your sort of capacity for working is diminishing, let me quickly pull, is when you start having symptoms like your sleep is getting worse. I will quickly explain what that means after that. You realize that you objectively see that you're like sitting somewhere, like sometimes you're just working and nothing is actually happening, and you get out of bed in the morning and you take like way longer to actually like go to work or like do something, and a routine that normally takes you like 10 minutes takes you 20 minutes or something. And also that you sort of like your surrounding doesn't feel like that real. It's like everything is like very numb, like that sort of sense is also like a sense of burnout, where it essentially means that your sense, it's called hyperesthesia. So aesthesia essentially means like how sensitive you are to your surroundings, and hypo means like less than normal essentially. And if you have that, then your attention is essentially like less. So that's like the opposite of mindfulness actually. Like it's like you're like in a state between like awake and sleep or something, like all the time. If you start having things like these, it's absolutely intolerable. You shouldn't be working more. You should just take a break, because like each time you work, like it's not going to be more productive at this point to keep working at the level that you've been working on before. Maybe you believe that because That's actually a thing where like when people sleep like less than 5 hours per night, they don't believe that they are less tired, even though they are more tired. Or for example, like in a more extreme example, when humans are freezing to death, like shortly before that, they start like taking off all their clothes because their body knows like, oh fuck, I'm going to die soon. Like let's quickly like get out all the energy. Suddenly these people get like really hot and they start taking off all their clothes. Of course, you're not going to die when you have like a sleep deficit. It happens, of course, but like when you're driving a car, some shit like that. But it's of course not as extreme, but it's also like the sort of survival bias, and human like the human is sort of like running on like reserves, right? And you don't want that. You want to have something that's sustainable long term, but you still want to get as much done like per week long term as possible, right? So that's like the most important thing, and you need to sort of find like the level that's optimal. As soon as you start having these symptoms, you need to sort of decrease your level. So you probably rather want to, like, if you are currently working, let's say for argument's sake, you're working 70 hours per week, so it's 10 hours per day, you probably rather want to go to like 55, 54, which would be like 9 hours per day, per day, but you take like Sunday off, for example. Once you can get down to that, and when you then, as soon as you like start seeing symptoms again, after some time, you need to give yourself like a week or something, because you might still have like symptoms from the past, even though you changed something, of course. But if you still have them like after some weeks, then you should decrease again, right? And it's actually a productive decision to decrease your working hours, because if you know that you need to work less today or that you can take off tomorrow, you get into that sort of like urgency mode where you think like, oh fuck, like I don't have the actual like working hours left to get this thing done. I'm going to be more productive right now, if that makes sense. And if you had the hours tomorrow as well, you will subconsciously, at least subconsciously, maybe even consciously think, I have so much time left, like I'm going to get that done anyway, and you're just like way more chill. But you don't want to be chill when you're working. You want to be at work when you're at work, and you want to be chill when you're not working, right? Most people aren't really working when they're working, but then they're sort of working when they're actually chill, right? Like that's why you probably have struggled like falling asleep, because your brain is like still like obsessing over like, fuck, like did that person show up? Oh no, I have to remind that person to call. Did the VA actually handle the leads? Or like these sort of things. It's very crucial that you sort of like, here you work, here you don't work, and you need to like go down with the level. And when you like decrease the amount of working hours, when you have burnout symptoms, you're going to be more productive when you do that. And when you still have the symptoms then, and decrease to like a 40-hour work week, which is like average 9 to 5, right? You might as well like work exactly 9 to 5 Monday like through Friday. Would be like better than working like 9 times 6 per week, so like 54 hours per week. Would still be more productive. But at some point, of course, we'll probably all agree that if you work like 2 hours per week, you will probably feel very productive in these 2 hours, and you will feel like you can do more. And especially we as entrepreneurs, we get insanely bored as soon as we don't work for like a couple of days, sometimes a couple of weeks, and as soon as you start realizing that, and you have this, like nothing is happening here, and you want to do something, you have like this sort of latent energy left. If you have that, then you can start increasing the sort of level that you're operating on again. And then you just go back to the original level, but then you like still test like for 2 or 3 weeks, like, do I still not have all of these symptoms, right? Because like your sleep should always be on point, sort of, and as soon as it doesn't, for like if you have like more than 3 days in a like 14-hour day window where your sleep wasn't like on point, or like you had like some specific like trouble falling asleep, meaning it took you like longer than 30 minutes, or you woke up during the night multiple times, like sweating or something, even though it wasn't summer, right? So some things like that, it's just not tolerable, right? Like you like, do you want to have this long term in your life? Probably not. Do you think it's probably going to be like productive long term and going to help you perform when you're working? Probably not, right? So it's really important that you don't have that. Then also, of course, you always want to be like actually like sort of awake, and you don't want to be like slow with everything that you're doing. You still want to have like your attention properly and your energy reserves left, so that you can recover. That's also important. You should always be having that. And yeah, like don't take like very long for stuff, right? You should still be like at high speed when you're doing stuff, because that's what you like. High speed is exactly what we want. When we decrease our amount of time, we're just increasing the speed so that we can actually still get more done, right? So we need to have these things if we really want to be productive. And if you're working 12 hours a week, you might actually be outworked by someone who's working, I don't know, let's say for argument's sake, 8 hours a day, right? Just because they have that speed and they don't feel dissociated all the time, and they actually are sort of like more mindful or awake, if that makes sense. Like it might literally be the case. So that's why I'm making this video here, right? And as soon as you, like I said, realize that you're not on that level, or you like everything is working perfectly smoothly on a certain level that you have, then you might consider increasing the working hours again. And as an entrepreneur, this amount of like working hours is probably going to increase month by month or something like that, just because you're getting more used to working. And that's why you see people like Elon Musk, for example, working a lot. Elon Musk, I think, actually has a genetical disposition for just work, like sleeping 5 hours a week, but I'm not 100% sure. A lot of entrepreneurs think that they have that, but they don't actually have that. So you might literally like check if you have something there, because if you just believe that you have like 5 hours or something, then you're just going to steal your energy from like 1 to 2 years from now. Like maybe even sooner than that, right? It's just a stupid way to operate, because probably you want to work on your business for longer than that, or might have the sort of like margin of safety that you need to work on your business for longer than that, and don't have to lie around. I still don't know how to say that, for like 3 weeks or something and not doing anything at all, right? And if we didn't work like for 3 weeks straight without planning it before that, and sort of like being burnt out when we have to like plan what is happening, it's going to do a massive damage to the business, right? Way more than not working the last 4 hours when you're tired anyway would actually hurt you, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's really important. That's essentially everything to say here, because if you have that level, and if you genuinely think that every hour that you're working is being perfectly used, and you're very attentive, and you're just getting the stuff done, and you don't have any of these symptoms on a level, then you can like slowly increase. But you also wouldn't like do like an increase from like 55 hours to suddenly like 70 hours or something. You would do this like way slower. Like you would just like add like 2 hours like per week or something to that, which would, I don't know, like just have like 2 days where you work like 2 hours more, right? It's also not like a daily thing. It's way more of like a weekly or maybe even like bi-weekly thing, because of course, like if you're working like a lot today but not at all tomorrow, then it might, it's of course it's not like the daily problem. Yeah, and when you have that, you can slowly get to the level where you're actually operating at your maximum. And operating at your maximum, so your maximum capacity, is actually like never the equivalent of burning out. Maybe it is the equivalent where other people will be burning out, like Elon Musk, for example. He's probably pretty productive in the 12 hours. I don't know how much he's actually working. I don't know him too much, of course. Probably no one actually does. But if you like, if that guy is sort of like working like 14 hours, he's probably actually pretty productive, and he's probably been in business for, I don't know, like 30 years. I don't know exactly, but probably something like that. And he actually has like the capacity to do that. But if someone is in business for like 2 years or something, it's probably a stupid idea to just suddenly go there. And I've been there, like I tried that myself. I tried working like 12 hours a day for some time, and I just started to realize that my sleep went to shit, and that it took like way longer. And also when you start getting like anxiety or depression or something, and you feel like you're like sort of, you do you say power, like in German there's like a perfect word that will fit like right now, but anyway, so that your results, your output is just getting to shit. It's just not worth it, right? And actually when I worked like 6 hours per day, I was probably like 80%. I had like 80% of the productivity or slash output when compared to me working like 12 hours a week, right? It's really like law of diminishing returns is really insane. And it doesn't help you much to just work longer, especially when you don't want to. Like if you really like, we should actually want to work, right? If you take like, if I forced you to now take like 2 weeks off, you'll get so insanely bored, And if you didn't like watch like some crazy like short form content and all you'd be doing is talking to other people maybe and reading, you would at some point really want to work, right? And if you don't want to work anymore, then you also know that that's sort of like a sign, okay, now I've been working too much, right? So you should be exactly like, in that context, you should actually be following your emotions. And yes, sometimes you really have resistance, and that's why we look at these like objective symptoms, and they're like more important than whether you want that. Because if you don't have any symptoms right now, but you just really don't want to do like a sales call or like cold calls, then of course it's just like something you need to break through, where you actually need discipline. But when it comes to you like having burnout symptoms, discipline is not going to get you further long term, right? That's the final sort of message of this video. And like I said, I've been trying multiple things, and I've been seeing multiple of my mentors like burning out probably like 4 times a year or something. And it's just painful to look at that when you know that it could be different. And of course, from person to person it's different. Maybe you can operate on a high level. Just make sure that you're doing that properly, if that makes sense. By the way, if you want to scale an agency, but at the end of each day you feel like you could have done 10 times more, there's a link in the description where you can check out how we can help you beyond these videos. It doesn't matter to me really if you click that or not. What matters to me is that your time is being saved and that you're optimally getting towards your goals and having a high performance. So I just wanted to leave that door open. And also, if you want YouTube to recommend you more of these videos, then feel free to like, subscribe, and like comment or whatever you want to do on this video. Maybe tell you what you would like to learn more about or something like particularly in that realm. And yeah, really appreciate you watching this to the end. This should help you a ton. Try this out. What matters most is that you're doing the stuff like that I talk about, right? So if I should give you an action step, try to find out if you have these symptoms. If you have them, decrease your workload by like, I don't know, like 10-15 hours a week. Then try it for 2 weeks and try to see if they're still there. If they are still there, do it again. If they're not there, try it for another 2 weeks. And if it's not there, then you might like slowly start increasing again. Okay, so that's how you do it. It's 8 o'clock now, so the sort of like bell starts ringing here. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.